is Martin Klaassen and welcome to another edition of Light Talk. Today my special guest is Paley Ho. Welcome, Paley.
Thank you, Martin.
Paley is the chairman and founder of Unios Lighting, and I would like to find out a little bit more about this new kid on the block, as I want to call you. I don't often talk to lighting manufacturers because we're obviously an independent lighting designer, but I think in this case it's an interesting situation because you came into the market not that long ago and you really have built up a very big reputation. So welcome, Paley. Tell us a bit about Paley Ho. Who is Paley Ho? What does he do?
So originally a business management and accountant by trade.
Yeah.
Was an auditor for Pricewaterhouse for a little bit of time until really found the entrepreneurship and wanted to do lighting in a more sort of modern and holistic fashion. In 2011 we saw that LEDs were just coming in and emerging into our industry, and for me I'd been in lighting for about 9+ years at that stage and thought that someone can do this better. Why does it have to be exorbitantly expensive in 2011, and how are we able to adopt a bit of uniqueness to what was quite just a general sort of type of lighting concept for that technology. So it was really interesting for us, and started off with literally just a couple of sketches on a bit of yellow fax paper out of my dad's office.
I saw them, you showed them on your your little history wall in your office, right? In your showroom. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, I love that. It was just more just to have a spurt of imagination, and really felt that just having a couple of sketches and reiteration until it kind of looked like a luminaire that was designed for Australia, and that was the main intent. And saw sort of parts of a downlight and a wall light that I thought was missing in the market. And it took 12 months to sort of realise into a physical product and a sample.
Yeah.
And then from there it was time to hit the road in a Toyota Camry. So that was my trusted old Toyota Camry.
From the back of the booth of your car.
Literally from the back of the boot of the Toyota Camry.
Oh, wow. So are you saying that the accountant in you sort of drove you to see if you could develop something more affordable?
A little bit about that, yeah. I think one, there was the affordability of it, but given that I'm Perth born and raised, in WA we had a lot of voltage fluctuations over here, and in terms of the quality and the reliability, back in 2011 wasn't as stable as we would have liked, and thus I went into a way of thinking to change that and take a sort of a modern digital approach to it.
Because you've really established yourself amongst lighting designers, architects, interior designers. I think by now you really have earned your place in this market. I think so, because I mean, otherwise we wouldn't be talking, I think. But what are sort of the challenges that you found along the way to reach where you are today?
There's certainly been a lot of challenges. I can think back to I dealt with a lot of rejection probably. That was the hardest thing, is to get adoption at the start. You know, naive 25-year-old coming out of university, having literally physical samples and at the back of a Camry with no website at all. It was hard to convince, you know, this was going to change the new way of lighting in WA. Fortunately, a few clients gave me an opportunity, and from there sort of word of mouth got out, and over the last few years it's really transitioned from there. As well as that, I think probably the biggest hurdle for me is in about 2013 we secured a pretty large project at the time, and as a small business, you know,
that would have helped.
It would have really helped, and it was an amazing opportunity. And then sort of coming towards the final push of manufacturing and getting it to fulfillment, unfortunately the particular project needed to be pushed forward. And supply needed to be done 2 weeks earlier than the expected ETA. And at that particular time, as a small business, you strap for cash. We didn't have the logistics to be able to get it over here quicker. It was already on a sea container. So we ended up having to fast manufacture the same batch again and air freight it over just to help out the client. Unfortunately, we lost money on that particular opportunity, but our commitment to delivering a successful outcome for the client was really the outcome that we wanted.
I think we'll go through that stages where we need to invest something to create something. I mean, you have to break an egg to make an omelette, right? So I think we all go through that. I've had it myself also in my own practice. I've gone through situations where money was really scarce and we had to, support ourselves until we get that other big project to move forward. I think it's common for all businesses, but today I think you're there. You obviously you have a combination of manufacturing in China and assembling it over here. Is that correct? Yeah.
Correct. So all the design and engineering is based locally here in Perth, in our headquarters here. And essentially we do a lot of 3D modelling, a lot of prototyping based from here, but a lot of the toolings happen offshore. And the fortunate thing is my uncle in manufacturing for a lot of time, 30 plus years now, and he's our director of our China operations over there. And it's good to sort of bounce things off of them because they have insight and the communication is seamless between myself and our engineering team and our operations team over there. And from there we can really curate a product that's semi-finished, and as you mentioned, Martin, that sort of final bit of finishing from optics, lenses, the diffusers that we use, they come as semi-finished and then we assemble it locally here in Perth.
Right, okay. So what drives you to new developments? How do you make that decision to develop a new product, or what is it that tells you, oh, I need to develop this now, this is what the market wants? How do you get that intel? How do you drive your team to develop your range of products?
It's a really good question. I'm always trying to improve on this because unfortunately...
I like to give my input to what I would like to say, but how do you do it?
Well, not every product release that we've launched has been widely successful, unfortunately, but most of it comes from lighting design feedback, consultants that are really giving us an indication of what trends they would like to see. We vet with a lot of just conversations like we're having now over coffee, just to get a bit of an understanding of, application-wise. How would you like to light a sort of a museum or a foyer or a penthouse, and sort of understanding that, because that gives us a good indication of how do we design luminaires that are best or providing the tools for professionals to be able to utilise that into their design.
Does it mean you customize also a lot of your products to satisfy requirements from specific projects?
Often enough, we customise everything from finishes to optics that need to be a certain beam angle. We've gone from lenses that we thought the sharpest we could get was around 12 degrees. We've had some at now 5 degrees. So really customising that for designers to really get the outcome that they want, whether it's focusing on a table in a hospitality scene or it's onto some beautiful artwork. So.
I think that sets you apart also from quite a lot of the big boys is your ability of being flexible. And as a new kid on the block, I think you need that, because as a lighting designer, I really need that sort of support, that sort of thinking along. I need this, I don't have it, can I get it? And being able to find a partner, and it's not just you, but in general, companies that are flexible enough to adjust to the demands of projects, demands of the market, I think is really critical. And to me, that is one of the attractive points of Unios as a company, is the ability to listen to the designers and the specifiers. You see, okay, this is what we need. Let's see if we can help you, right? And I think, to me, that's one of the big points that attracts me to the brand and your team. I don't know how you have put your team together, but you've got a team that supports very well. And I think that's quite crucial, I think, for lighting designers, being able to pick up the phone and say, hey, Paley, I need this and this, can you help me? Right? I guess I'm maybe like that, but I'm sure others are with that, like that with you as well.
No, I really appreciate the kind comments, Martin. I mean, that is really us in a nutshell, is we don't want to be that big, large corporate entity that is so hard to turn and it's almost quite rigid. And don't get me wrong, coming from our audit background, is important to have process and stage gates, etc. But we feel that I guess given sort of our young, driven team and our culture, we're very much an agile sort of functioning company, and we need to be flexible and being able to pivot where trends are noticeable and traditionalist thinking might not be the path for us to sort of transcend out for Unios anyway.
Sure.
So that's our mentality.
Have you had any run-ins with the big boys, like the established lighting manufacturers? Are they looking at you like, what's this kid doing here?
We get comments every now and then, but for us, we practice the infinite game, and it's someone that I hold high regard for, which is Simon Sinek, and talks about really for us it's about internal improvement before we worry about I guess the outside noise. We've got to be aware of it, but ultimately we're trying to play a game within ourselves to try to self-improve our product, and
Way to go,
instead of going, oh, I need to beat X competition or I need to beat Y competition, that for us is not our mindset. It is about, all right, well, how do we get the best outcome for Martin, right, in his application? How do we improve the efficiency of this product? How do we build a digital tool that really provides convenience or saves time for you from a documentation point of view? So we're not really going, oh, what's that other person doing? Let's do that, because I think that's a very slippery slope.
Well, I think that really is also one of your strong points. I think being focused on what you feel you need to do and not be distracted by what the outside world may expect from you or may want you to do, or whether you want to be like one of the other ones. I think mapping out your own route towards success, I think, is probably one of the drivers of you getting there in the end, right? I can see that very much. So in that role, obviously, you liaise with lighting designers as some of your prime clients, I would say, but
Yes.
what about interior designers, architects, or electrical consultants? Are you also much in touch with them, focusing on them as well?
Yeah, so we cast our sort of network quite wide, and as you mentioned, there's architects, interior designers, consulting engineers. So for us, we have a distributor network that we're very proud of, all across at the APAC region. But for us, we also have a professional sales team that has really been part of the design community or have vast experience in that, as well as that from a trade and a construction side of things as well. So them being able to provide insight for whether it's the installation of a particular product in a certain ceiling cavity space, or from a design functionality, whether or not a pin spot versus a dark lighter is going to achieve the right outcome for the designer. So I'd like to think that we cover a broad spectrum because we need to. Every stakeholder is extremely important, and everyone has a different understanding of what lighting can do for their project. So understanding that only gives us the complete holistic view of how our lighting actually impacts the project.
Because you really set your eyes on the world. I don't know exactly where we met first. I think it was in Singapore. I think you approached me here, but I was in Singapore, and I think we first met in Singapore, I don't know, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, or something like that. I don't know, a while ago.
Yeah, I think it was about 2 years ago, and I was surprised. I said, Martin, you're based in Perth. I'm born in Perth. It seems very strange to meet over in Singapore and come back to our home ground. So,
but I think, see, now we are facing an interesting time with the pandemic, where on one hand we have this international global drive, but on the other hand now we are faced with a situation where people start to buy local, want to be involved with locally available services and products. Do you see any impact on your business right now because of that?
Without a doubt. That was essentially a strategic initiative that we've been developing over the last 18 months. We really outgrew our previous production facility, and we moved into a brand new headquarters in Nangara, really to bolster not only the inventory perspective as we were outgrowing the warehouse, but also our production capabilities. So things like our assembly line has grew probably 4x, sort of in terms of linear fabrication. We're starting to cut, mill using CNC machinery. We're starting to have customizable linear strips all the way throughout a project, and we'll be able to sort of custom detail it with tails, plugs, type labels all ready to go. So it's literally plug and play and seamless to a much larger assembly infrastructure. So we're really bolstering local fabrication and local assembly, and I'm really proud of that because that workforce in our production team has grew vastly as well, which is really good for WA.
Yeah. So obviously I'm stuck here because of the pandemic. So well, not really stuck, but travel is really difficult. So we find ourselves doing virtual site reviews and things like that. But it is also a time that we have for reflection. Where are we? Where are we moving? What is the future has in stock for us? What is your view? How do you see the future in the next coming years for your own company and the way lighting and lighting design may develop?
Yeah, so there's a few things that come to mind. There is a very digital enabled approach, which is now more and more, as you mentioned, it's very hard to be face to face now. So digital communications become key, but I think also the digital identification of product selection, all the data that comes with that, being able to easily collate schedules and raw data and information seamlessly. So one is a very much a digital approach which could blend into AR, virtual reality, and being able to visualize the space. That's where I do see the future going. It's already starting to happen. And the second part of it would be probably IoT technology and having.
Well, we have a big interest in that.
I know. Yeah.
We're really keen in doing this integration of IoT with lighting design. So I'm looking forward to what you come up with.
Yeah,
if anything.
Well, data's king now, right? And for us as a business, we are making data-driven decisions.
Yeah.
It's not based on emotion or gut feel anymore, which I can safely say in 2011 when we first started, we didn't have the data. You weren't able to even capture it back then.
Yeah.
So data is key, and I see a world where you have integrated luminaires that could measure shopping engagement and having sort of traffic workflow in terms of how shoppers are engaging with certain shelves in areas, to geofence technology where literally identify to your phone when you're a kilometre out from your house, the light's already at the dim state at your comfortable preference, with audio built into some of the luminaires, playing your favourite song as you walk through the door. I mean, the world is kind of oyster, and I know I'm sort of stargazing a little bit.
Are you giving us a little peek into what's cooking in your kitchen?
Can't disclose at this stage, but it's, as I said, it's. I do see a future where that is going to be the future.
Yeah, I'm absolutely convinced as well. The world is changing and moving into that direction. There's no doubt about it. So 2021 is obviously 10 years of Unios behind you. What's next for the next 10 years? Where do you see yourself going in the next 10 years?
It's a big question. 10 years, I hope to be continuing to be the small agile team that we are, and to really make an impactful difference, not only from just an ANZ, which is where we're based, but across Australia Pacific, and to really pioneer an Australian lighting company that is. Australia's not really commonly looked at when it comes to lighting. It's normally out of Europe or or the US. We'd like to change that.
I don't have often a manufacturer in my back garden.
No, correct.
So,
strange enough to be in Australia than it is back to be in Perth.
Yeah, absolutely.
There we are. So every time we speak to someone in Southeast Asia, it's like, oh, so you're in Melbourne or Sydney? No. We're actually over the other side of the country. In Perth. So for us, we hope to make some impact, and for us, we talked about sort of the digital side of things, but we hope from an educational standpoint, we're having these conversations early in the stage of a project. It shouldn't be an afterthought. Sometimes lighting can be, and it's often considered to be the last part of the project.
Yes.
I don't have the time or the resources to really invest in this. We'd like to change that sort of dynamic a little bit, and to have conversations at an early stage to understand how much impact can I have from an emotional standpoint, how can it make us feel more comfortable in environments, and us not really understanding why it's making us feel comfortable. How can it make us feel more focused? How can it provide wellness so we're getting better deep sleep cycles? I mean, the list goes on.
It's all working in your mind.
Yeah, the list goes on, but yes.
Yeah. Paley, congratulations for your first 10 years in business, and I will want to wish you all the best for the next 10 years. Thanks for the interview.
Thank you so much, Martin. Appreciate it. Thank you.